Greetings and welcome to part 2 of the calculus series. In this video, with the help of Tom and Jerry, we'll be looking at another general rule known as the chain rule. The success criteria for today will be for students to be able to apply the chain rule for differentiation. In the last video, we started on the concept of the derivative. For any given function at any given point, the derivative will tell us the gradient of the tangent at that point. We can also call it the gradient function. We have also learned that for power functions, the derivative of ax to the power of n is anx to the power of n minus 1. Basically, we bring down the power and multiply it to the coefficient, and we subtract 1 from the power. Aside from the power rule that applies specifically to power functions, we have come across two general rules. The first is that if we want to multiply a constant a to a function, we can do that before or after differentiation. It doesn't matter. The second is that if we want to take the derivative of the sum of two functions, it would be the same as taking the sum of the derivative of the functions. The same goes if we want to take the difference of two functions. In this video, we'll introduce a third rule, the chain rule. But before we look at the chain rule, let's do some practice with the power rule. Here's problem number 1. Differentiate x squared plus 1 the whole thing to the power of 5. Pause the video here and give this question a good try. Well, first we can expand this using the binomial theorem. We'll get this expansion. Now we're going to differentiate it term by term. So let's run through a few. So for the first term, we bring down the power 10 and we reduce the power from 10 to 9. So we get 10x to the power of 9. For the second term, we bring down the 8, so we get 5 times 8, 40. X to the power of 8 minus 1 gives us x to the power of 7. So we repeat this for all the terms. And notice that for 1, when we differentiate 1, we'll get nothing because 1 is just a horizontal line and the gradient is 0. Notice that 10x is a common factor, so we can factorize out 10x. And what is left is actually the binomial expansion of x squared plus 1 to the power of 4. So we can further factorize that. And this will be our final answer. Oh, Professor Calculus notes that this approach seems rather tedious. So is there a better way? Why, yes, we can use the chain rule. So let's first go through the derivation of the chain rule using limits before we go through problem 1 again. And after that, I'll give some geometrical intuitions for this seemingly complicated rule. Now, basically, the chain rule is applied to the composition of functions f of g. So using the limit definition, the gradient function is given by the change in y over the change in x, as the change in x tends to 0. Except that in this case, our y here is defined as the function f of g. So we use h here to represent the change in x again. Now the trick here is that we're going to multiply this limit by the change in g over the change in g. So g of x plus h minus gx represents the change in the function g. Now the magic trick, we're going to swap the denominators of both fractions. Now observe, the first fraction now represents the change in fg over the change in g. So that's dfg over dg. Now the second fraction, that gives us the change in g over the change in x. So that's dg dx. So back to problem 1. How do we apply the chain rule? What is function f? What is function g? So I first define function f to be the outer function, what we did last, which is raising something to the power of 5. Next, I define function g to be the inner function, what we did first. So it's x squared plus 1 first. Now we're trying to differentiate the composite function, f of g, which is x squared plus 1 to the power of 5. So first thing first, we want to differentiate that with respect to x. And that is equal to first differentiating the function with respect to g. Now since g is equals to x squared plus 1, we can substitute that away. So we're essentially differentiating g to the power of 5 with respect to g. Now I also need to multiply my dg dx. So that's just differentiating x squared plus 1 with respect to x. So let's evaluate. So differentiating g to the power of 5 with respect to g is going to give us 5g to the power of 4. So power to the front, so the 5 comes down to the coefficient, and we subtract 1 from the power to give us g to the power of 4. Of course, I don't write g to the power of 4. My original question did not have g, so I'll replace the g with x squared plus 1. So this is what I get for the differentiating with respect to g. Now I still have to multiply by the chain, so times d by dx of x squared plus 1, that's going to give me 2x. So when I simplify all this, my final answer will be 10x times x squared plus 1 to the power of 4. Now, another way to think about this, if you're not familiar with functions and compositions of functions, is to think of this as a pure substitution. So the formula for the chain rule can also be written as dy by dx equals to dy by du multiplied by the chain du by dx. So what we're going to do is we're going to let y equals to x squared plus 1 holding to the power of 5. And we're going to make the substitution u equals to x squared plus 1. So it becomes u to the power of 5. So if we want to calculate the dy by dx, first we differentiate it by u. So we're going to take u to the power of 5 and differentiate it with respect to u. Then we're going to multiply it by the chain, which is d by dx of x squared plus 1. The rest of it will be the same, and you'll get the same answer. So the geometric interpretation is as follows. We can think of dy by dx as the gradient of this purple tangent. It tells us how fast y changes as x changes. This is the same as first finding out how y changes as some function u changes and multiplying it by how fast u is changing with x. And to put this in terms of Toms and Jerrys, if I want to know how fast Jerry runs with respect to time, I can first find how fast Jerry runs with respect to Tom, and multiplying that with Tom's speed with respect to time. So if Tom is running at 2 meters per second and Jerry is running 3 times faster than Tom, that means the speed of Jerry will be 3 times 2, which is 6 meters per second. Now let's practice with 2 examples here. Differentiate the following composite functions with respect to x. Pause the video here and give this question a good try. In part B, we first differentiate this function by setting the inner function a to be x squared plus 2x plus 3. That means I'll be differentiating a to the power of half with respect to a first. Then we have to multiply by the chain. That will be differentiating a with respect to x. So we have to differentiate x squared plus 2x plus 3 with respect to x. So the first part When we differentiate a to the power of half with respect to a, we'll get half, the coefficient comes from the power, multiplied by a to the power of negative half. This comes from half minus 1. And when we differentiate the chain, we'll get 2x plus 2. Next, we can simplify all this. We'll express our answer in positive index notation as well. So we'll get x plus 1 over square root of the a. So that'll be x plus 1 over square root of x squared plus 2x plus 3. Example 2. Given the curve y equals to the cube root of x squared minus 6x plus 1, can you find the coordinates of the points on this curve such that the gradient there is parallel to the x-axis? Pause the video here and give this question a good try. Let's try to understand this problem and break it down. We have a curve here given by the equation, and we want to know where on this curve is it parallel to the x-axis. Now the x-axis is horizontal. That means that the gradient at that point would be 0. We can take the equation, and first we'll let the inner function x squared minus gx plus 1 be equals to g. So we can convert it to the cube root of g, and we can rewrite that as g to the power of 1/3. To find the derivative, first we're going to differentiate this with respect to g. Next, we have to multiply by the chain. So the first part, when we differentiate g to the power of 1/3 with respect to g, we can use the power rule, and this will give us 1/3 g to the power of negative 2/3. The 1/3 comes from the power, and negative 2/3 comes from the power minus 1. When we differentiate the chain, we're going to get 2x minus 6. When simplified, we'll get this fraction. Well, the only thing that's important is that when we sub in the dy dx to be 0, we only need to consider the numerator. So the numerator will be equals to 0. Therefore, x has to be 3. And we can substitute x equals to 3 back into the original equation. And that will tell us that y equals to negative 2. Hence, the coordinate is 3, negative 2. Now let's have a look at an example that requires the application of chain rule twice. Try differentiating the following expression with respect to x. Pause the video here and give this question a good try. So, to differentiate this expression, the first thing we're going to do is make a substitution. We'll let u equals to be 3 plus square root of 1 minus x squared. So I just have to differentiate the expression with respect to u. So I'm differentiating u to the power of 5 with respect to u, but I have to multiply by the chain. So I'm going to multiply by the du dx, which is differentiating 3 plus square root 1 minus x squared with respect to x. So the first part, differentiating with respect to u, I'll get 5u to the power of 4. When I differentiate the rest of it with respect to x, the 3 will vanish because it's just a constant term. Square root of 1 minus x squared, we can't quite differentiate that. We'll have to do the chain rule again. So this time we'll let v equals to 1 minus x squared. So essentially I'm differentiating v to the power of half with respect to v. But I can't just do that. I have to multiply by another chain, which is the dv dx. So I'm going to differentiate 1 minus x squared with respect to x as well. So all this, when we calculate it all, you'll get this. So the fun part, 5u to the power of 4 is going to give us 5 times 3 plus square root of 1 minus x squared whole thing to the power of 4 times 1 over 2 root v. So if I replace the v back with 1 minus x squared, I'll get 1 over 2 square root of 1 minus x squared. And differentiating 1 minus x squared will give me negative 2x. So all that we can multiply together, cancel the 2's. When fully simplified, this will be the final answer. Now, those who are looking for additional practice, do check out the self-assessment applet. The link can be found in the info section below. So reflecting on the success criteria that we set out at the start of the lesson, are you now able to apply the chain rule for differentiation? So if you have any questions or comments on this topic, please post it in the comment section below. With that, we've come to the end of part 2 on the series of calculus on the chain rule. Stay tuned to part 3 where we'll be covering the product rule. Thank you for your kind attention and have a great day of learning.